Into this crucial Wednesday with a big news. I left you overnight, the night between Tuesday and Wednesday, with a big story regarding the situation of Benjamin Šeško. I told you very clearly how Man United were more than confident, feeling that Benjamin Šeško only wanted to join them. Last week, I told you, don't underestimate Manchester United. And I told you how the bids sent in that moment were not gonna make the difference. What only made the difference is the player preference. And here you have it, because Benjamin Šeško has reached an agreement with Manchester United on personal terms. So despite all the reports that we had in the recent days, and I really respect all the reports, but many of you send me and ask me, but this is true. On Saturday someone said that was done to Newcastle. Then in the recent days someone said that he agreed the terms with Newcastle. Someone said he's ready to say yes to Newcastle. I can guarantee to you that Benjamin Šeško never gave any green light to any other club this summer. So the only case where Benjamin Šeško says, okay, this contract is okay, this agreement is done, is with Manchester United. Full stop. So Manchester United reached an agreement with Benjamin Šeško and with his agent after talks on Tuesday, very positive. And then this morning, Wednesday morning, after being sent the final draft, they got the final green light in paper also. So contract until June 2030 for Benjamin Šeško. My understanding is that at the moment there is no option to extend for further season, but let's see if maybe during the negotiations this could change, but at the moment no. So 5-year deal for Benjamin Šeško. Contract agreed, salary agreed, commission agreed, everything okay. Now, Manchester United, while I'm recording this video, might change any moment, are negotiating with RB Leipzig over the transfer fee. The bid was 75 plus 10, Newcastle bid was 90, 80 plus 10, Man United 85, because 75 plus 10, but I'm told that Manchester United are changing the structure of this bid. They are in direct contact with RB Leipzig. As I always told you, Christopher Wiebel was working on this deal because he knows Red Bull Group very well, but also Jason Wilcox being crucial once again in these conversations, in these negotiations, and is also now taking care of the structure of the deal with Red Bull Leipzig, to change maybe the structure of the add-ons, to make it almost guaranteed, the transfer fee, the main part of the transfer fee for Red Bull Leipzig. So work in progress to reach agreement club to club and then to complete the transfer of Benjamin Šeško. But that feeling I told you over the recent days, last night and now, is very clear for Šeško heading to Manchester United. So the big signing for Man United is coming. There is a feeling that Red Bull Leipzig want to extend a bit these negotiations because they want to get the best price possible. Manchester United have a good relationship with Leipzig, so they hope this will not be very long. So let's see. Can be really any moment, because the two clubs are in direct contact, and then Benjamin Šeško is expected to become a new Manchester United player.
Very good afternoon to everyone at home, and also to our reporter Michael Bridge as well. Now, before we get to Benjamin Šeško, we should tell you that there are reports in The Athletic from David Ornstein in the last few minutes. He's reporting that Al Hilal have reached an agreement in principle with Liverpool to sign Darwin Núñez. Now we're hearing, he is reporting it's 53 million euros plus add-ons, and that agreement has been done verbally. Right, we are chasing that right now, and of course we will update you as and when we have more information. Right, let's get to Benjamin Šeško. As we said, this one really has gathered pace over the last 48 hours or so. Daniel Kahn is waiting to speak to us in Manchester. Right, Dan, it does look like Šeško is heading your way.
It does indeed, Tom, and what a 24 hours it's been from where Newcastle United upped their offer to around £70 million, just under that. The question was, when would Manchester United enter the race formally? And we've consistently reported that despite Newcastle's huge interest in the striker, Šeško's preference has always been a move to Old Trafford, and it seems United felt the same because they then entered the race initially with a bid of £65 million initial, with some add-ons attached to that. But our colleagues in Sky Germany have reported since this morning that United have upped that offer closer to that £70 million mark, and Manchester United I should say, are now in advanced talks with RB Leipzig. We're finalising a move for Benjamin Šeško. And I mean, you have to really admire United's strategy in this negotiation. If they are able to get the deal over the line, they clearly had belief that Šeško wanted the move to Old Trafford, and it seems that they could be getting their third major signing of the window, despite not having any European football in the upcoming season. It looks like they are getting closer to edging another forward signing over the line.
It does sound like a fairly obvious question when it's a player as good as Benjamin Sesko, but is this exactly the type of player that Manchester United need?
Look, I think you have to start off by saying with Šeško that you are still buying a 22-year-old who still has a ceiling to reach, Tom. But what I think you can consider is this is a striker that Manchester United have known about and been scouting since he was 16 years old and signed for Red Bull Salzburg, and they've been aware of him ever since. And although he maybe didn't feel that when he was younger a move to the Premier League would be right, it feels like now at 22 years old, 21 goals scored in all competitions last year, that now seems the right time to make that step up to one of the best leagues in the world, of course. And I think for what Manchester United could be getting in him is a striker who offers not just goals of all sorts of variety, left foot, right foot, in the box, out of the box, also very good aerially. But what I was very impressed about at Leipzig last year was just his set-up play, especially in the box. When you have the likes of Brian Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha, Ahmad as well, who can all play off of him potentially, I think that attack looks much more potent in that sense. But what we'll have to consider is what it means for the likes of Rasmus Højlund and his future as well.
Well, that's exactly what I'm going to ask. If Sesko does come in, which looks more and more likely, where does that leave Højlund?
Yeah, I mean, Manchester United spent £72 million on Højlund just a few years ago, Tom, 20 years old. And although we understand United may consider appropriate offers for Højlund has come out in pre-season, been adamant he wants to fight for his place. The only thing I would say about Højlund is that, you know, when you consider the team he came into just a few years ago when he made his debut against Brighton, it was a very, very different team that didn't have any sort of the attacking options United now have at their disposal. And you also consider that this United side in pre-season, they have looked so much more comfortable in Amorim's system. The likes of Patrick Dorgu, Lenny Yoro, who all look like they've taken leaps in this pre-season. I think the same has to be considered for Højlund in this system, especially now supported by Mbeumo, Ahmad and Cunha as well. So perhaps he needs a bit more time in this system. And you think for Amorim to have two strikers at 22 years old that he can really help mould into his system isn't necessarily a bad thing. But as you have to consider, they won't have as many games without European football. So how does he keep two strikers happy? I feel like there'll be enough game time between the two to share if they want to. But we'll have to see what United do, because before this deadline closes, it really will be on sales now going into the final few weeks in terms of the likes of Alejandro Garnacho, Antony, Tyrell Malacia, all looking to get off the books at United. They aren't training as part of the main squad at the moment, so still a bit of business for the likes of Jason Wilcox, Christopher Vell to get through with their recruitment team. But for now, it looks like United are getting another signing of the line in Šeško and just showing perhaps the attraction power that they still maintain despite where they finished last season and despite not having Champions League football.
Daniel, busy summer for Manchester United and it's still going on. Thank you. So that's Manchester United. What about Newcastle United? Keith Downey's at the club's training ground for us. Right, Keith, good afternoon to you. What is the feeling at the club as at the moment it looks like they could miss out on another target?
Yeah, look, I think there's a mixture of disappointment and also probably just feeling in the dark a little bit over this. I think the fear from Newcastle at the start of the week was that they might get strung along in this with Manchester United on Monday, still having yet to make a formal bid for Benjamin Sesko. Of course, we told you on Saturday that Newcastle had made the opening offer of 65 plus 5, and then of course they upped that offer on Monday to €80 million plus add-ons, which of course is a club record for Newcastle. It feels like they've given everything they can. and they've really thrown the kitchen sink at it. But just the noises you're hearing from inside, and one source that has been telling us or maintaining to us for days now that Manchester United is Benjamin Sesko's favoured destination. I don't think it was that he is or was against Newcastle United. I think he was impressed with the plan and the project that was laid out by Eddie Howe last week when he spoke to Sesko and his representatives. But I think just that won the pool of Manchester United, an institution of a football club, and as we see, as Dan mentioned and alluded to there already, Newcastle have lost out on a couple of players to Manchester United, the likes of Cunha and Mbeumo already this summer, so they still have that pool. I would suggest he's going to be earning more money at Manchester United over Newcastle as well. But as it stands, look, Newcastle haven't been told it's off. Their offer was pretty much accepted by Leipzig. It matches their valuation of the player. And although Manchester United are trying to close that gap between their offer and Newcastle, they've not quite got there yet, it feels like the decision rests with the player here, and that agreement that the player has with Leipzig to join a club if an offer comes in that suits Leipzig. And it feels as though Manchester United will probably get there. And like you say, Tom, it's just another one that looks to have been missed out by Newcastle this summer, and it's been a very bruising couple of months for those involved here at Tyneside.
Welcome to Sports Lab, bringing you the breaking headlines from the transfer market. Everton approach Man City over Grealish deal. Latest from Sky Sports News: Vinny O'Connor, Anthony Joseph and Rob Dorset. Everton have approached Manchester City over a possible deal to sign Jack Grealish. Talks will focus on the possibility of a season-long loan, though negotiations are at an early stage. He is a player much admired by David Moyes. Grealish is desperate for more game time as he looks to force his way into Thomas Tuchel's thinking for next summer's World Cup. He has been working with a personal trainer in a bid to make sure he is in the best possible condition for the season to come. Pep Guardiola has offered no guarantees Grealish will remain at the Etihad, and the £100 million club record signing has been struggling for regular games. He made just one Premier League start last season, and was an unused substitute at Wembley for the FA Cup final defeat to Crystal Palace. However, Grealish remains one of the biggest earners at the Etihad, and it is understood that it would be difficult for Everton to afford all of his wages, which are thought to be worth £300,000 million per week. That issue will now be the focus of talks between Everton and Man City, as they try to reach an agreement over how his salary is covered. That wraps up this edition of Sports Lab. Stay tuned for more top transfer coverage and exclusive updates.